We took that Trans Am out. Of course, they have their one little cop that's right there. And he goes, oh, look, there's Terry. And what does he do? Burt Reynolds style, just takes that Trans Am and just walks it all the way around that police car sitting in the parking lot. A really good friend of mine, singer-songwriter, owns numerous companies, got his hands in all kinds of stuff. Very successful guy, super good friend of mine. He built probably the ultimate Bandit Trans Am. The very first thing you're going to notice in the pictures of this car is it's a 79 Trans Am, like the Bandit 2, not the original Bandit, because he was born in 1979, and that was his favorite. So that's what he wanted. So he started out with a perfect, literally museum quality 79 Trans Am that he bought. And they blew this car to a million pieces, stripped it, rotisserie restored the car. But then all the modifications. Can't just have a stock TA with a turd 403 in it. No, no, no. LSA supercharged, full brand new GM crate motor, 4L80 automatic transmission, 9-inch Ford rear end, 4-wheel disc brakes, wheel woods all the way around. Coilovers, everything Detroit Speed's got, throw it at it. TMI custom interior, black suede, black leather with gold matching grommets. Got the Thunder Chicken on the hood in gold. Everything's in 10 coats of clear. Absolutely gorgeous on oversized snowflakes. DBR Nashville, Tennessee tuned this car. His garage in Huntsville, Alabama built it. Took them a year to build this car. And they started with a perfect car. It still took a year. All LED lighting. And of course, when you're buying a car like this, the very first guy I tell about it is my good buddy Travis Bell. Before I got off the phone with him, I checked my mailbox and I had a Band 1 tag in there already. Love you, Travis. So my buddy built this gigawatt car. He spent well over 150 grand building this ultimate Smokey and the Bandit car. It's that car that 95% of the people that want it could never afford it. And the ones that could afford it are probably not that big of a Smokey and the Bandit fan. So my buddy told me, so I want to sell my Trans Am. I got me a new Lambo coming in. And he said, the Trans Am just needs to go. It's just going to sit. I put 1,500 miles on it. It runs and drives out perfect. Vintage air, JL audio stereo system all through it. This thing's just jam up. And he goes, or I'll tell him, I say, what do you want for the car? And he goes, what would you give me for it? And I said, buddy, you don't want to know what I'd give you for it. You need to throw a number out there first. I don't want to price your car. So he makes me an offer I can't refuse. He said, there's 2 stipulations to this. He goes, he actually offered me 2 cars, and I had to buy them both. This is on a Friday afternoon. I need this amount in cash before Monday morning. Luckily, we had the cash. I called up old Kobe Kai. I got a driver. We busted to Alabama. So we get to Alabama, and the first thing that starts with this story, so we're in my lifted Rocky Ridge Silverado, and he lives in rural Alabama. That's how Ed would describe it. How I would say, the sticks. Literally, the boonies. So we're driving through, and there's a covered bridge going to his house. Well, keep in mind, I've got a truck with 35-inch tires and a 6-inch lift. We got a bridge that's only 7 foot tall and about 8 foot wide. I've got a truck with this lift and these big tires on it with a 21-foot car trailer behind it. And the thing is, we didn't realize this covered bridge was on the way to his house till we were so close to it we couldn't turn around. So we go to turn. There's a hard 90 going into the bridge. One way in, one way out. It's not a double lane, like a one way. We turn to go in, I swing wide, and we pull in. We get the truck all the way in. And I'm talking about my fender flare is that far from the outside wall of this covered bridge. And we're on wood. This is solid wood. And the truck's in there. And it's that far from the wall the fender flare is. The fender on the trailer catches one of those concrete posts going in. Well, obviously, I can't back the truck up because I'm going to hit the wall. And I obviously can't get over anymore because the trailer fender is holding us back. So me and Kobe get out of the truck and look at the situation, try to figure out what we're going to do. Well, by this time, a truck starts coming the other way. Well, obviously this isn't going to work. Old man gets out of the truck. He says, "You done got yourself in a pickle." I'm thinking to myself, no shit, Sherlock. They said, "There's only one thing you can do." He was an older guy. He smoked a cigarette. He said, "Send it. Just nail it. I'd put this thing in four-wheel load and go with it. It's going to come." So he backs out. Told Kobe, I said, "Get in the truck. Four-wheel load." I start walking across the bridge at this point, just waiting for my Silverado to go out the side of it or something. He said, "Oh yeah," before he left. He said, "Oh yeah." He said, "You see these runners on the ground?" And they had like 2x6s, like two 2x6s running the length of the bridge on each side. So about 12 inches of track there. He said, "Don't drive off of that, you'll go through." Keep in mind, I already got one tire hanging off of it at this point. So he cranks the wheel, he pins it. Next thing you know, I hear tires spinning. My Mickey Thompsons are spinning on wood. I smell burning wood. I'm probably 30 feet away. The flare just grazes the wall. And the trailer fender bent. And he came a-going. He stopped probably about 5 feet from me before he got it stopped. So the thing is, I didn't get run over. We made it through the bridge. Hop in the truck. Didn't even look at it. Didn't even want to know what the truck looked like. Didn't know what the trailer looked like. And sure enough, just right around the bend, here's his house, here's his garage, Bandit Trans Am sitting there. And a Suburban, car two. Well, first, before he loads up, he says, "I want to take you up road in this thing. I haven't paid for this car yet. I haven't done anything yet. It's gorgeous." And it's drizzling rain. So we drive out, go right across the bridge. And the thing that tickles me the most, we didn't tell him about our little struggle with the bridge. Drive out of the bridge. He said, "Yeah." He said, "This thing's like a national landmark. Get out of town." Anyway, we go across the covered bridge. It's still standing. And back out around on the main road. And keep in mind, this is a little small 2-horse town. And we've partied with Charlie before several times. And this town is like literally, they have a Dollar General, period. We took that Trans Am out. Of course, they have their one little cop that's right there. He goes, "Oh, look, there's Terry." And what does he do? Burt Reynolds style, just takes that Trans Am and just walks it all the way around that police car sitting in the parking lot. And the cop's just shaking his head. He just keeps going. He goes, "They love me here." And just, we zip it around, and he's goosing it a few times. I mean, just every time you touch the accelerator pedal, it just blows the tires off this thing. Keep in mind, the road's damp, too. And I'm over here like, I haven't paid for this thing yet. Let's try to keep it all together. And this thing don't have a rock chip. It doesn't have a scratch. It's perfect. We got back to his house. He had a big bonfire that night and all that stuff. We got loaded up and weather cleared out a little bit, and we took off. We didn't go back across the bridge this time. We found out you can actually take a right and avoid all of that. I stick the car online. And knowing that my market's going to be kind of small for a car this high end, I get a phone call. Well, I get a lot of messages, but I get a guy that wants to talk. And he is a hot rod builder in Las Vegas. And he goes, "I have a client that wants me to build him a Trans Am." And he's very impatient. And he said, "Your car looks like a nice one. I would love to fly out and look at it. And maybe we can just talk him into buying this one instead of me building him one." So I pick him up at the airport, take him by the warehouse. There's this black Trans Am sitting there, and he's walking around it, and he's crawling under it, and he's looking at this, and he's got his little light out there, and he's looking in the jams, and just everything real close, just going over everything with a fine-tooth comb. We fire it up, and he goes, "Can I take it up the road?" I said, "I'll take you up the road in it." And I took him up the road in it, and when you pull out of my warehouse, you pull right onto, a 6-lane road, a 6-lane highway. And so we turned right out on the main road, and as soon as we turned out, you go about 75 feet, and you got a red light. Well, as soon as we turned out on that road, we weren't going down at 20 feet. The light already turned yellow, and I just smacked it in the ass right there. And that Trans Am just kicked sideways, just going through the red light, bellowing smoke off tires. He goes, "I've seen enough. You can take it back." So we whipped it around, put it back in the building. He goes, "I need to call my customer." And the guy had a straight face. He had a poker face from way back, I mean, he seen it was a nice car, and you could tell he liked it, but he wasn't like over the top or anything like that. It was really kind of hard getting a read on this guy. He's on the phone with his customer, and he walks out there, and he says, what will you take cash for it?" And I told him. So he walks back outside, and he's on his phone, back and forth, and and he's smoking a cigarette outside, and he's walking backwards, pacing. I walk into my office, keep my car sitting right in front of the little service station in my warehouse. And I'm just sitting in my office, which is literally on the other side of a sheetrock wall. He's walking out there and he's on the phone talking to this guy. So I kind of got to hear a little bit of it through the cameras outside. And I'm just sitting there and I'm watching him on the camera. He's walking around it. He said, I'm going to tell you something. You need to buy this car. I can't build you one this nice. I'm like, oh, really? Cue evil laugh. So anyway, he comes back in. He offers me about $8,000 less than what I said. I said, can't do it, bud. I just assume to hang on to it. I'll be honest with you. I think it's every boy's dream to have a Bandit Trans Am like this one. I'm winning at this point. And he goes, yeah, you are. He says, it's definitely a nice car. He goes, let me call my customer back. So he gets back on the phone. And this time I'm standing right there with him. This is a short call. And he goes, this is what he'll take for it. That's all they'll do. No less, no less. He said, you got a title here? Title in my hand. Or it's in my desk drawer. He comes back out and he goes, well, I guess we'll take it. And they sent transport. And now my Bandit Trans Am is cruising around Las Vegas. Cool side story, the guy that bought the Bandit Trans Am actually owns one of the largest industrial lighting companies in Nevada. And they're based out of Vegas, which is kind of cool, doing all the lights for the casinos and things like that. And that Trans Am, actually, he liked the first Trans Am better than the 79. So they changed the nose and the rear of the car and turned it into a 77 Trans Am. But it was a lot easier than building that entire car. And they absolutely love it. So I love a happy story. You know, I got to play with it for a little while, got paid, and now she's living her new life in Sin City.
We'd like to thank the Ticket Clinic for supporting VINwiki this month. When you get a ticket, no matter where it happens, you're risking points on your license, costly fines, insurance premium increases, and risks of suspension or jail time. So it's more important than ever to have great representation. The Ticket Clinic is a nationwide law firm that can help you fight a ticket no matter where you get it. It's easier than ever to start a relationship with them. You'll just take your ticket, snap a picture of it, and text that picture to 305-305. You can also reach them at the link in the description below to thank them for their support of VINwiki and fight your ticket with the Ticket Clinic.